is just ranking the brand new Pokemon and talking a little bit about their playstyle and how they might fit in this meta. So hopefully you guys like this. What Pokemon should we start with? We're going to be ranking them on an S is big busted and an F is a big fail. So what Pokemon should we start with to rank? There we go. Hey, YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Yo, we hit 30K in Sword and Shield. Who knows? Let's hit 100 in Scarlet and Violet. 100K. Magearna. You guys want me to start with Magearna? You want me to start with Magearna? We could. Magearna is big S, no debate. You want me to start with Zeraora? I'm going to start Zeraora because I was going to start with Zeraora anyways. That's why it's at the front. So Zeraora, right? What does Zeraora get? Like, why would you use Zeraora? What does it actually bring to the table? Well, Zeraora gets a 142 or 143 base speed. It's pretty speedy, right? I think it's 143. I think it outspeeds by Pulp by like 1 point. So it's really, really fast. It gets Fake Out. It gets Plasma Fist. One cool thing you can do with Zeraora, right? So let's take a look at a Zeraora before we actually put it on the list. So we're going to go in-game here, and we're going to take a look at a Zeraora we're going to be featuring in some Wi-Fi battles in a little bit later. This is the shiny event Zeraora from the Pokemon home release. One cool thing about Zeraora is Plasma Fist, right? The user attacks with Electricity Charged Fist. This move changes normal type moves to electric type moves. So this is really cool because you can go like Zeraora Plasma Fist, and then like you can go Boom Burst with like a big Toxtricity, and that's going to proc your Volt Absorb with the Zeraora and stuff like that too. So it's really, really cool for being able to shut out mons that rely on normal attacks. It's now, I think, the fastest Fake Out user in the format, so we can expect Zeraora to see like a decent amount of play. It's also like a fan favorite Pokemon. It gets access to like Volt Switch, Snarl, Coaching. You can see the set that we were going to use today. It's not faster than Elecki, but it does also get Electro Web. So I would say that Zeraora is going to be usable as opposed to some of the other mons on this list. But the question is like how usable. And I will say in this tier list, I'm going to try my best to organize them in their tier. But I would say that Zeraora would probably fall into the A tier. So let's put it in A tier. So it's not S, it's not broken, because obviously there might be Pokemon that are a little bit better Fake Out users. Like in reality, it's kind of like a Raichu, but a little bit more aggressive, right? It's a little bit faster, it's a little bit stronger, it's a little bit more unique moves. But at the end of the day, it doesn't have Lightning Rod. So in certain situations, you might actually still want actual Raichu. So I'm going to put it in the A tier. I think it can hold its own. What we will see, though, is that Zeraora is pretty weak. So, like, for example, the rest of this Pokemon on the list, like, even if Zeraora is using, like, a close combat into a Dialga, it's probably not going to get a KO. Even if it's using, like, a Plasma Fist into a Kyogre, it might not get the KO. It's not as strong as you might think. It's going to probably find more of a niche as, like, a support Pokemon to use, like, Snarls, Coachings, things like that. We might even see Zeraora go for, like, Fake Out into one of their mons and be like a Brutal Swing user to proc policies on other things. So that's what I would expect from Zeraora. So let's see. Yeah, the other big part of the format is there's no restrictions how many restricteds you can have. Yeah, I agree. That's definitely going to change things up. So I think it's going to be really important. So let's see. Yeah, I talked about it being 1 speed faster than Dragapult. I think it's a 143. I think it's 143. It's not 148. Coaching Zeraora. Yeah, we're using Coaching Zeraora today. So let's see. The next Pokemon we're going to feature, let's talk about Jirachi. I think Jirachi is a good one to feature, right? Jirachi. A lot of people think Jirachi is going to be really good. It gets like Serene Grace. It gets access to like a bunch of different support moves. I think it does still get Trick Room, right? But I think Jirachi's going to be C. I think I'm going to put Jirachi in the C tier. Or, no, I'm going to put Jirachi in B, and I'm going to explain why in just a minute. We can put Jirachi in the B tier. Jirachi falls prey to a lot of the problems that Pokemon of its type have. We're going to talk about a couple other mons later that are really, really good. Jirachi's biggest redeeming factor here is that it gets Trick Room, right? And you're going to be like, well, if it's just a Psychic type with Trick Room, like, there's already a lot of Pokemon that do that. Like, we already literally have Bronzong. And in certain situations, Bronzong might actually be really, really good in this format. So, because it gets, like, Levitate and stuff like that to help mitigate the fact that it has a big weakness to ground. Having a big weakness to ground, a big weakness to fire, a big weakness to ghost and dark, you can already tell that those are the big 4 types in this format. You have, like, Max Quakes, Max Flares, you got Max Darkness from Yveltal, like Astral Barrages from Cali Shadow. You can tell it's going to be hard to make Jirachi work. And the fact that it, like someone's talking about Vikings in chat, The fact that it's all base 100 stats means it's not going to be super great. I would say the best set for Jirachi, realistically, if we were to go take a look at Jirachi, let me see if I have any Jirachis in-game that are worth looking at. And we'll talk a little bit about like what Jirachi would bring to the table. Come on, game. I have a handful of Jirachis somewhere. I wish that you could actually. There's a Jirachi. One cool thing that Jirachi used to get was event move Draco Meteor, and I actually still wish I got that. That way you could go for like max Wormwinds to apply like Intimidates and stuff. Because I think match Jirachi with like Policy Proc's fine. Remember how we were talking a little bit about like Zeraora with coaching? You can go like Zeraora Jirachi and have like a mix up of Fake Out Trick Room, or you can just go coaching into like a max Jirachi, and then next turn go for like maybe even like a Brutal Swing Policy Proc, and then Jirachi's actually really, really strong. It kind of sucks that Serene Grace won't be usable when you're in max mode. This is my Jirachi traded over from BDSP, but one cool thing that I would do if I was using Jirachi is I would really, really try to make use of the Serene Grace. I'd probably think Scarf Jirachi is going to be my favorite set. You can actually get Jirachi to outspeed a fair number of Pokemon if you put a Choice Scarf on it, giving it a +1 speed boost. And then from there, you would just go for Iron Heads, which have normally a 30% chance to flinch. This turns that Serene Grace turns that into a 60. So if you can wait out their max turns and bring this guy out mid-game with a little bit of speed control, you can start actually being a really, really big bully late game. You get access to things like U-turn. You can go for so many different unique support moves. So Jirachi, the reason why it's in B and not like C tier, I would say, is because it has the mix-up of being both in Trick Room teams and not on Trick Room teams. And it can kind of play that middle ground where a few of these other Pokemon are really, really pigeonholed into one play style, or they can do so many other different things that are just better than Jirachi. So I would say Jirachi's more near the lower end of the B tier, but that's just my opinion. And let's see, the next Pokemon. Let's do... How was the stream last night? Stream was good. Stream was really good. Let's do Keldeo now. Let's do Keldeo. Right, so I would say Keldeo, right? Keldeo, I think Keldeo might have, other than Kyogre, like the strongest special attack stat for a water type. So really, really strong water energy. It gets access to like Secret Sword and stuff like that. So it can kind of hit for like a Psyshock and it can still target the defensive stat even with a special attacking move. I'm going to put Keldeo near the top of the B tier, and we're going to go take a look at a Keldeo. Hopefully, if I can find one in my game. There it is. There's a Keldeo. And we're going to show you guys what Keldeo actually brings to the table. So this is the event Keldeo from the 2013 giveaway. I think it was done through GameStop. I don't actually remember. This Keldeo set is just a standard setup set that I used in singles, but like I would go Calm Mind Lefties. That's not going to be as common. Here's the Secret Sword like I was talking about. 85. Special fighting attacks are kind of unique. So that means Keldeo is going to be a bit of a weird Maxmon, where you don't really want to max it because Max Knuck's weak and then it would boost your attack, which you're not even using. I actually think the reason Keldeo is B tier is because it's faster than most things. And the really, really good reason why it's actually usable, whereas some of these Mythicals aren't even actually usable, is you can actually put Aqua Jet on Keldeo and pair it next to Colossal. And so I think just because of that, it's going to be an underrated Mon that, similar to Jirachi, can kind of play that middle ground. You can use it to enable other Pokemon. You're starting to see a pattern here. Zeraora enables other actual restricted Pokemon. Keldeo enables Pokemon that are good in a restricted format. While also like low-key checking like Incineroars. It forces Zacians into playoffs, which you can use to switch into other Pokemon, waste the Zacian's turns. If you can get speed control, Keldeo can actually outspeed and KO a lot of other cool stuff. Did I catch the Keldeo in Crown Tundra? I did not, but I forgot that I could. Right, so yeah, you can catch Keldeo in your game right now. So go catch your Keldeos in Crown Tundra after you catch all three of the Sword of Justices. So yeah, I think Keldeo's going to be really good. I think top of the B tier is a good spot for it. You say, personally, I don't think Colossal is going to be that great. So let's talk about the best Pokemon in this format. The best Pokemon in the format will be a mixture of like Califorms, which Colossal is good against both. Yveltal. Yveltal is going to be huge. Every team's probably going to have Yveltal. Colossal is great versus that. Zacian. Colossal is great versus that. Kyogre. Colossal can totally fight that. Because if you do enough damage to the Ogre to make them have to max, they can't go for Spout. And if you do enough damage to weaken them, their Spouts are weak, so then you don't care. Like, you just go for a huge Volcalith, and then the fact that like they're gonna have to take that damage every single turn. If you're using like a bulky remainder of your core, you're just gonna be able to wait them out, right? Colossal's like really gonna be good in this format. It's good versus pretty much every restricted. And the thing is, like, if I were to lead Keldeo and I policy proc my Cole, trade 1-for-1 instead of Dot, that's a win for me. Because the next Pokemon I bring out, Keldeo's still good. Like, let's say the next Pokemon I bring out has speed control, and then now that Pokemon enables Keldeo to start trading with something else. It's going to be really good. I promise. I promise. So let's see. What's the next Pokemon that we're going to feature? Let's feature Diancie. Diancie is going to be a bit of a, I'm not going to say mixed bag, but I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say Diancie is probably one of my favorites, and I think Diancie has the potential to be in the S tier. Now, why does Diancie get the S tier? What does Diancie bring to the table that other Pokemon don't? It is a Rock Fairy typing, I believe. Let's actually take a look at a Diancie in game and talk a little bit about it. Right, let's talk about it. There's a Diancie. It is super good. This is the event Diancie from, I think, Gen 6. But yeah, Rock Fairy is a very unique typing. Yeah, tons of weaknesses. Weaknesses to water, weaknesses to ground, weaknesses to steel. Bunch of weaknesses. But also, remember what else I said was going to be really good in the format? Things like Cali Shadow, things like Cali Ice, things like Yveltal. Diancie has a good matchup for those. So Diancie is one of those Pokemon you can actually see in the team that we're going to be using today. If you pair Diancie as a Trick Room setter with other Pokemon that get Trick Room that have different defensive typings, you can create a bunch of little micro situations where your opponent can't respect all of them. Like, let's say they were going to lead Groudon or Zacian to potentially deal with my Diancie. If I were to pair a Palkia or Solgaleo there, or maybe even like a Porygon 2 or something like that, they can't really cover everything, which means I get Trick Room up. And in these formats, the person who actually is proactive and gets up their speed control first will win almost every single time. So Diancie has a very unique typing that we've not really seen before at like this competitive of a level. Remember, like the other day I was even using a Carbink and actually getting wins with it. Diancie's like Carbink on steroids. It's one of the best body press users in the game. Also, it gets Diamond Storm, right? It hits both targets and has a 50% chance to boost your speed stat. Sorry, not speed stat. Your defense stat by 2, right? And so after one Diamond Storm, which you hit both targets, you have a big body press and you just destroy everything, right? It's also, yeah, like, I think that Diancie has the potential to be really good, because if you can tunnel your opponents through the use of that 4x weakness into bringing what you want them to bring, Diancie can be used as bait, and it's great late game. It's such a good Trick Room setter. It's so good. Like, if you haven't seen the video I made literally this morning that showed off Diancie, like, this Pokemon's really good. So I think that this Pokemon's going to be good. I could be wrong. You know, this could be me overstepping my bounds, saying that I think it's going to be S. Maybe realistically it's going to be like A or B. Some people even by the end of the format might think it's in the C or D tier. But right now, with everything that we know about the format and the way I think the format's going to end up, I think Diancie is going to be a pivotal piece in a ton of the teams I use. It also gets Clear Body. It's like ridiculous, you know? So, yeah, I think Diancie is definitely usable. So let's see, more than usable. I think Diancie is really good. Let's talk about Celebi. Celebi starts with C. So I'm going to put it in the C tier. So I think Celebi in the C tier, it makes a lot of sense. And I could probably realistically even put like Celebi down like here if I wanted, but I'm not going to. These Pokemon are too good to put that low. They're just too good. Celebi has a decent match versus Ogre, which is why it's usable. It has a decent match versus Groudon, which is why it's usable. But let's think about what else it has weaknesses to. Cali Ice, Yveltal, Cali Shadow, the 3 biggest mons in the format, right? So it's going to be really hard to use Celebi, especially just because there's so many other things that better Pokemon do. Let's take a look at a Celebi real quick and just go over a little bit of like a play style and a little bit of like what it brings to the table. probably should have this organized better and had all these mons in the boxes already, but let me know if you like this about me like actually like showing the mons themselves and breaking down what I think they should be doing, showing their abilities, showing a little bit of their base stats and stuff like that. So I have two Celebis right here. This is the event Celebi. These are both event Celebis, but I think this Celebi it was the original event Celebi from 2011. Oh man, it's so good. Back in the day, this was the only event Celebi that actually had Nasty Plot. It used to be an event only move, and you could baton pass Nasty Plots. It was so good back in singles. But yeah, Celebi gets Natural Cure. It has Psychic Grass typing, so big 4 times weakness to things like Bug, which is going to be a lot better in this format, so that's not good. It has big weakness to Fire, it has big weakness to Ghost, big weakness to Dark, big weakness to Flying and Airstreams. The one good thing that Celebi has is it's okay matchup versus things like Kyogre. It forces ground into using fire attacks, and it has a good matchup versus things like Regieleki. So Celebi's definitely usable as a Trick Room setter, but let's also just think of it as a Trick Room setter, which is the best move that it does actually get for this format. There's so many other Pokemon that get Trick Room, and there's so many better mounts with better types that get Trick Room. But another cool thing it might be able to add is the fact that it's a grass type. So like this is the Calyrex that we wish we had, like the base Calyrex form. It's unaffected by like Rage Powder, so like maybe there's something it can do. I think it's gonna be fun to use, but like its ability's not really helping it. It's base 100 base stats all the way across the board, so it's kind of just middle of the pack, and that's why it's in the C tier. Yveltal, Rampant. Yeah, Yveltal's gonna be everywhere because there's no reason not to use a Yveltal. Right? Yveltal's really good right now, and there's no reason not to just throw it on your team. Let's see. Which one to use next? Oh, Infected Truce dropping the sub. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, friend. Hope you're enjoying the little whist here. Thank you. Let's talk about Genesect. I think we're going to put Genesect. It can go so many different ways. It can be B tier because it's very item reliant. It can be C tier because it's super item reliant and super weak to Insane and Groudon and gets one-shotted by so many different things. But I think Genesect's going to be better than we think, and I'm going to put it at the top of the A tier. Definitely not going to be going into the S tier. But I do think that it's good enough to be in the A tier. Why is Articuno on here? It's just a list of legendary Pokemon, and I just moved all the Mythicals up to the top. Do you think Celebi's D tier? I think so. I think Celebi's better than people give it credit for because, like, literally, like the Pokemon. If I were to organize this tier list with like every Pokemon, Celebi's definitely a middle of the pack Pokemon. Celebi is like a million times better than like, I don't know, freaking Grumpig or like Magearna, the Pokemon that would be in like the D and the F tier, right? I'm just organizing this as like a middle of the pack way to look at this Pokemon. Base 100 stats all the way across the board, decent, you know? So I think Celebi's good in the C tier. It also starts with C. But yeah, back on Genesect. I think Genesect is good. Let me go pull up a Genesect in my game and we'll talk a little bit about what Genesect brings to the table. Oh, where's that Genesect? This is going to take me a million years to find this thing, I bet. Oh, I found it. Oh my gosh. All right, cool. So Genesect. And we'll show you guys the screen and show you guys why Genesect is usable. So Genesect has a 99 base speed tier, right? 99 base speed tier. Might have missed this, but do you think it still gets a ton of usage? I think in terms of fake out users, I think it'll see play. I think it'll still see play, especially by the time the format settles and people stop running like 6 legendaries in every single team. It'll start to see more play. But yeah, this is the event Genesect from Gen 5, OT Plasma, because I think they're the ones that created it, and it's a 99 base speed tier. The cool thing about Genesect though is the downloadability. Whenever it comes in, it gets a boost to whatever would be more effective against the opposing Pokemon's defenses. So if they have like huge special balls, you get an attack boost. And if they have huge physical balls, you'll get a special attack boost. And what's really cool about Genesect is it has really, really high attack and special attack. It can use U-Turn. I like Bug Buzz, Ice Beam. It gets Flamethrower. You can put like Thunder and Thunderbolt on it. It gets really, really good physical moves as well. It gets like Blaze Kick. It gets like every move in the game. It also gets Ally Switch. Like this Pokemon's going to be everywhere for the first month. And then maybe it'll drop off because, like, realistically, there are things that we already have in the format that might be better. Like, Shadow's just a better Pokemon than this. Zacian's a better Pokemon. Even Pheromosa's arguably better in certain situations because it's faster. And it's, like I said, Genesect is very item reliant. You're either going to be using, like, a Sash on it or I would say Scarf or Specs. Maybe Life Orb's going to be very popular if you're able to give it speed control. But Genesect's one of my absolute favorite Pokemon, and I think that, like, players are going to go out of their way to make this Pokemon good. So I will say we're going to see a bunch of teams that feature it. And I don't know how, like, well it might do. I think it has just enough speed to work with a Scarf. So I'm going to put it in the A tier. I think that probably realistically it's going to fall and end up being a little bit lower, maybe in like the mid B tiers, just because it's one of those Pokemon that, like, let's take a look at every one of these Pokemon. Diancie's really, really good speed control. Diancie applies like buffs to itself and can carry games. Zeraora, big fake out, big speed tier, enables teammates. Jirachi, kind of like, it doesn't really enable teammates, but it gets Trick Room, so it plays like a middle ground. Keldeo enables teammates with Aqua Jet. Celebi is like a bad Trick Room setter, so it's a little bit lower. Genesect plays only for itself, right? It's not enabling shit. It's like, I'm Scarfed, I'm gonna hit this, right? And so it's really, really one-dimensional. And so that's why I think maybe Genesect might end up falling, because it's not really enabling things and it's not really worth taking the spot from other restricteds like Kyogre, Groudon, and stuff like that. But it's gonna be a Pokemon. It's gonna be a thing. You'll see a lot of Genesect just because it's just really cool. You're also gonna see later on the list that other Pokemon that are already in this list are gonna outclass it at what it does right. Anti-Meta is a good way of putting Genesect, I would say. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Marshadow. Where is Marshadow going to go? I've seen so many people say, yo, thank you for the follow. They say Marshadow's going to break the game. It gets Spectral Thief. It takes their weakness policy boost and you win the game. Thing is, though, Marshadow's not fast enough to actually outspeed. What are the Pokemon on the format? Cali Shadow? And it's like, yeah, but he could Shadow Sneak. It's like, Cali Shadows have been dealing with that for years, you know? They're what is it? Like the adopted by the darkness, molded by it type stuff. Like, they're fine. They'll just use an Entity and redirect or something like that. It also is really one-dimensional, similar to Genesect, in that, like, it loses the redirection, it loses the speed control, it is very item reliant, it's very selfish, it doesn't support that many other things. So I think Marshadow is not as good as people think, and realistically, I was talking about this earlier, I think like Mineshadow might be a better Pokemon. It gets Inner Focus, a fast fake out, and it can enable teammates. It's kind of like Marshadow is very, very greedy, and in reality, if you're gonna play a Pokemon that's all in like that, Urshifu's just better. So where would I put Marshadow, knowing all those things? And I would say I'm allowed to talk about Marshadow because I used it in the Battle of Legends competition in like a format like this, where I could see just how underwhelming it is. Like, I will say I've already had extensive VGC testing with Marshadow, and I know it's just super underwhelming. It also is weak to like Airstreams, it's weak to Yveltal, like, literally, they have a Lecky, you have Marshadow, you're never having that Pokemon have an impact, right? So where would I put it? I think Marshadow is going to be... Oh, I hate to do this to you, my guy. Marshadow. Right here. I think it's going to be right here. It gets fast copycat, but like, that is what it is. You know, I think it's going to be the middle of the pack B tier Pokemon. Definitely usable, but very selfish in how it has its own playstyle. Like, if a Pokemon's going to go out of the way to make the format and the battle about it, that Pokemon needs to be really, really good. That's when you see like policy procking teams and stuff like that. Those Pokemon that are policy procking are deserving to carry the game all by themselves. That's why you see like Protect the Xerneas comps, Protect the Restricted, Dynamax, whatever comp. Marshadow, if you're going through all that trouble to do all that stuff, it's just not worth it. Like, why would you highlight a Marshadow over like a Yveltal, a Zacian, a Groudon, a Kyogre, a Solgaleo, anything like that? No. I think the B tier is fine. It's definitely good enough to be in the B tier. It's fast enough. It has good typing. It's good enough to be in the B tier. But I've seen every person say Marshadow's going to break the game, and I'm like, it's not. It's overhyped. All right. The real elephant in the room, every single person wanted Magearna. Obviously, Magearna is going to be in the S tier. I'm going to put it above Diancie, too. Magearna gets, like, Floor Cannon and Soul Heart. I don't have a Magearna, so I can't show you guys one in game. It's easy S tier. Basically, every single time, its ability says every single time in a Pokemon, any Pokemon on the board, your teammates, your opponent's Pokemon, you get, like, a special attack boost. So it has, like, Beast Boost before Beast Boost was a thing, and it's just busted. It has really good coverage, really, really good defensive typing, could be Scarfed, it gets Trick Room, it gets everything. Like, the Magearna's just busted. There's not a... It has... the type, it's like a special super mega Zacian that has like Beast Boost and will never die and is like just, this Pokemon is just cracked. It can do so many different things. I don't even think I'm going to use it that much. I think it's going to be so broken that I don't know if I'll play with it because it's kind of busted. So I think it's just going to break a lot of format. Like, a lot of stuff's going to get broken by Magearna. You're like, someone was talking about like why or is Incin still going to be good? You might have to use Incin to break this thing. Yeah, if your teammate, if you pair it with like a Redirection Mon, and that Pokemon gets like KO'd, you get a Soul Heart boost off that too. And then like a couple Soul Heart boosts, you just max the thing and win the game. So really, really good. I think it's going to be very, very good. Things like Groudon are good against it. Things like Yveltal really struggle against it. So I've talked so much about like Yveltal, Callies, how they're really, really good in this format. And Magearna is good against them. So that's going to be the meta that we're going to be developing. Is like everyone's going to be using like Yveltal, Yveltal, Callie cores and stuff like that. And Magearna's like one of the checks of that to keep those in check, keep them kind of balanced. So let's see, what are we going to do next? Who's next? I'm going to do Zarude. I'm going to do Zarude. I'm going to put Zarude in the C tier. Zarude is one of those Pokemon that you guys might know or might not know if I can ever find one in my game. I could probably just search this thing. I can search it by ability, which is Jungle Healing or something like that. Jungle Boogie. Justified. I can't search by ability. What's its ability? Is it a Leaf Guard? Is it Leaf Guard? That would suck. Its move is Jungle Healing. Its ability is Leaf Guard, which means it's useless. Yeah, I only have one Leaf Guard Mon. So here's Zarude. This is the event Zarude that they gave away with that like scarf and stuff like that. And it's okay. It's not a terrible Pokemon. I think it gets like an above average speed tier. It's over 100. But like realistically, it's just not doing that much. It's one of those things very similar to Zeraora where it's not strong enough, even using super effective moves to OHKO things. It's not going to be able to OHKO a Dialga with close combat. It would probably KO a Kyogre with power because it's stabbed. It would obviously KO a Cali Shadow with Darkest Lair, but it wouldn't KO a Cali Ice with it, even though it's super effective stabbed, right? It's 4 times weak to Bug, it's weak to Airstream, it's weak to fighting moves. This guy's going to struggle in this format. I also don't know if it gets Fake Out. If anyone wants to confirm that it gets Fake Out, maybe that'll give it some brownie points. 105 base speed. Yeah, it's usable, but I wouldn't say... Like, I plan on using it a lot. I think this is a fun Pokemon, but I don't think it's going to, like, break the game in any way. Like, C tier is fine for this guy. It's just going to be middle of the pack. I think that, like, in reality, if you're looking for a Dark type, run an Urshifu. If you're looking for a Dark type, run a Yveltal. If you're looking for a Grass type, right? I mean, the Grass types use a Rillaboom. You know what I mean? So there's so many different things that it actually gets checked by that I think that there's just no way that it actually... And one Intimidate, this thing gets turned off forever. One Reflect, one Light Screen. It's only going to be seen on Groudon teams for the first couple weeks or so to experiment with Jungle Healing. That's a good way to put it. It's going to be okay. And in that situation, it is more like a Zeraora because it supports something else. But it doesn't get Fake Out, never lucky. Let's see. What's the starting it rounded out? Let's talk about Mew. We haven't really talked about Mew yet. Mew, the Pokemon that gets pretty much every single TM. I would say Mew, realistically, it could end up in the B tier with Jirachi, but like, I wouldn't put it in the B tier with Jirachi because Jirachi is like Mew, but 1,000 times worse. Like, if we were to compare Jirachi, Mew, and Celebi, the best move that all 3 of these Pokemon get for this format is Trick Room. They're all psychic types, but Celebi has a ton more added weaknesses, being weak to like ice and like airstreams. Jirachi has weaknesses to like fire and ground and stuff like that. Mew, though, doesn't have those weaknesses. It has an okay ability, and the fact that it can do literally anything means your opponent has to put a lot more respect on Mew. Let's go find a Mew. Mew is value, I would say. Val Mew.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, there's so many things that you can do with Mew. You can self-transform. I don't think that... Does that work? That's sick. Let me find my Mews, and we'll talk a little bit about Mew. But yeah, I think Mew's going to be good. And I plan on featuring a lot of Mew. I actually plan on using like Mew Zoroark. I'm probably going to do that tomorrow, actually. So here's a Mew. This is the Mew from... I think this is from BDSP. Yep. This is my Mew from BDSP. But I have a few other Mews. There's Mew from Let's Go. Synchronize is okay ability. It can learn... It has a decent like level up move pool itself. But again, the thing Mew brings to the table is it can learn every single TM. So you don't know if it's using like... You don't know if it's physical, you don't know if it's special, you don't know if it's setting Trick Room, you don't know if it has other forms of speed control. Really, really big list of stuff that you can do with Mew. And, yeah, Swiss Army Knife for Pokemon. I think it's definitely usable, and, like I said, I want to pair it with Zoroark. right? When Zoroark copies Mew, they're gonna like, all right, I'm gonna hit that Mew with a Ghost Attack. I'm gonna hit that Mew with, I mean, Bug Attacks would hit both of us really hard, but like a Dark Attack, or I think that Mew might be a Zoroark. I'm gonna hit that Mew with a Fighting Attack, right? And then it's actually just your Mew. It gets like ally switch and stuff like that. There's so many different shenanigans you can do having Zoroark copy Mew, and I think that's gonna be a lot of fun for me personally. But I think, yeah, Mew, it just creates a bunch of craziness in the team preview that you can't actually counter everything Mew can do. So I'm gonna put it in the A tier. It's probably gonna end at about C or B, but you never know. Like, if the meta develops a specific way, Mew might be that one Pokemon that ends up being like a Smeargle in this format and is thrown onto like every single team, and you just don't know what its set is at all. You never know. Mew's just absolutely a good Pokemon in pretty much every single format that it's ever been in. Let's see. So we have Melmetal, Victini. Let's say Meltan, easy. Volcanion. Let's do Volcanion. I'm gonna put Volcanion in C tier. Volcanion's okay. It's the only fire water type. I think it has like a ability that it might have water absorb. It has some sort of ability that like deals with absorbing water attacks. So it's okay. But if I were to compare it to one Pokemon that we already have, I'd compare it to Heatran, right? It's immune to water. Yeah. I'd compare it to Heatran, and Heatran's like okay, right? But Heatran has a lot of weaknesses to common things like ground and water. So, what is this? Volcanion has the same weakness to ground, not the same weakness to water, so it's usable. But I just don't see like myself wanting to use this thing if I can use a Cali or like a Kyogre or something else. I think it's just going to be okay. Yeah, I think it's just going to be okay. But again, I would say out of all the Pokemon on this list, the Pokemon I have the least experience with is Volcanion. But I just don't see Volcanion like breaking or changing the game. I think it has like a decent speed tier, decent stat line, but I just don't see it being better than a lot of these other Pokemon. But that's just my opinion. If you guys want to change my opinion, feel free. So let's see. Victini or Melmetal? I'll let chat pick. Do you guys want to see where Victini or Melmetal goes? What do you guys want to see? Victini? Why is Meltan F? It doesn't do anything. It doesn't get anything. Someone wants to see Victini. We got 2 Victinis. And a bunch of Mels. Oh my gosh, it's actually split. I see a lot of Victinis. So many Mels, though. You know what? We'll save the best for last. Which means we're doing Melmetal first. I'm going to put Melmetal at the top of the A tier. The reason why I don't think it's going to be S is because it gets intimidated, right? Let's check out a Melmetal. There's a couple other things about Melmetal that are keeping it out of the S tier as well. Yeah, it gets Iron Fist, which is good, you know. Let's check out this Melmetal. This is the event Melmetal from the Pokemon Home release. I think the only other way to get Melmetal is like transfer over 1 million Meltans in Pokemon Go. This is the actual G-Max Melmetal. And the thing about Melmetal is it's going to be a great check to like Cali Ice. And if you vest it and make it bulky, if you use like widescreens and stuff, it can be good against literally every special attacker. This is probably going to be one of the better policy users of the format, I would say. Really, really good in Trick Room. Great Mon in general. It gets double Iron Bash, which hits with this twice. It's ridiculous. Like, just a 60 base move is normally fine. This is the 2 of them. Good Pokemon in general. I think it's going to be fine. The issue, though, what's its G-Max effect? Its G-Max effect says it hits Torment on their board, so they can't use the same move twice, which can be good if you like weave in Protects or whatever you're going to do. So it's good, but Steel Spike's better. Just regular Max Steel Spike's better, guys. Regular Max Steel Spike's just better. Sorry, it is. Being able to pass the defense boost to your teammates is really, really good. And this Melmetal that you get from this event, which is the Melmetal that everyone has, it can only be G-Max. And so it's like the ability of actual players having a Steel Spike in Melmetal, because you can't un-G-Max soup something, is going to be... It's keeping it out of the S tier for me. It's the amount of players that aren't going to have access to an actual Melmetal that they need to even use it correctly is going to overall just mean we see less and less Melmetal. We see less and less Melmetal, which just doesn't get as high as it probably should be, and it falls a little bit. It gets a sad panda face, and it just hangs out in the A tier. I definitely think it's top of the A tier. I think it's a good Pokemon. I've played a lot of Let's Go. You could hit that Melmetal with literally every super effective attack you've ever seen in your life, and it will not die. So, good Pokemon. It's also super intimidatable, right? You'd have to go, like, well out of your way and build around Melmetal. The good thing is it's an Ager Pokemon. It can hang with that. It can deal with it. But it is, like, it is what it is. You prefer Steel Spike over stopping things like Lance or Astral? You know what else stops Lance? Steel Spike. Like, I just think Steel Spike is... You're in so much more... How do I word it? Torment is an enigma, right? Torment opens up the spot for, like, the game to go out of your control. Versus if you give a Steel Spike, you're still within the means of things that you can realistically control without creating a bunch of different other scenarios, right? I would say Torment is a clown fiesta. If you're a player that plays into that stuff, you know, that's fine. But it's a high skill ceiling move, right? So I think that more often than not, like, and the fact that we're going to see so many people try and make that work, it's not going to work. Like, I'm going to get so many free wins, the games I would have lost if they just Steel Spiked, and they're going to torment themselves into losing because they don't know how to, like, deal with it. A good example of why in this situation it'd be a lot easier to use the Steel Spike is, like, let's compare Whimsicott. Good players know that Encore is really, really good on Whimsicott because you can allow your opponent to set status moves and then Encore those status moves. You can Encore their Trick Rooms, Encore their Tailwinds. You can also Encore, like, Calm Minds, Fake Out, stuff like that after they use them. So a good player lets those things happen, deals with it, anticipates the situation, and then Encores to pin, right? Same thing could kind of be said for just denying those moves altogether with Taunt. And so the easier plays Taunt, the higher skill ceiling move is the Encore. And it's taken players years and years and years to learn how to use the Encore thing. The Torment thing's a little bit different to where you have to have, like, correct speed control and really, really good game sense to make that work correctly. I would say Steel Spike's consistent, and I would say it's just consistently better on average. Best for last. Victini. Where does Victini go? Where do you guys think Victini goes? I think people realistically see the usage of G-Max Metal versus regular Metal when it comes to battles in the long run. I agree. I think I'm going to put Victini in the S tier. I would put Victini here. I would put Victini here. I personally, if this is my list, Victini's right here. Best Pokemon in the format. 100%, ain't even a contest. But it's realistically here. Realistically. It might even realistically be an A tier. But the reason Victini's so good, let's pull up a Victini in game. Victini gets a lot of cool stuff. Alright, so Victini. Think it's going to be C? Nah, Victini's busted. This is the original Victini from way back in the day. It's actually before Victini had Flare Blitz. You're able to move, relearn, V-Create, but you actually, this Victini was one that you were able to get in Gen 5, like the first, if you bought the game within like the first month, you could download a scenario that lets you catch this Victini in the game. That's why it's in a timer ball. And it had Flare Blitz instead of V-Create. But yeah, Victini gets V-Create, the strongest move in the game. And its ability, right? Victory Star, boosts its accuracy and its teammates' accuracy. So this is the perfect partner for Groudon and Venusaur, right? I think Victini, when paired with Sunroom, this is the Pokemon that makes Sunroom the coolest thing ever. It's a secondary Trick Room setter for Sunroom that can trade with Maxmons, and it gets so many other cool things. Like, it gets electric attacks, it gets U-turns, it can be physical, it can be special. I think it gets Expanding Force as well. Victini gets everything. It gets everything I could ever ask a Pokemon to be. Sunroom just got all its problems solved by this Pokemon. And think about this. This matchup, like, Victini is the best Pokemon ever versus Zacian. You do Player Up, not very effective. But Blade, not very effective. Sacred Sword, not very effective. It's like, bro, let's think about the rest of the format, right? You already saw that I used Victini yesterday. It's weak against Groudon, but you can fight it. It's weak against Kyogre, but if you have the Sun, you're okay. It's good against Yveltal. It's good against both Cali forms if used correctly. I would say it's obviously not great versus Cali Shadow, but you can mitigate that and moves things around. Like, Sunroom is good versus Cali Shadow, right? So the things that Victini lacks, Sunroom is good against. Like, Sunroom's good versus other Sun teams and Groudons. So I think, like, Victini is just absolutely amazing. And this is the Pokemon I'm personally like just really excited to use. I actually have a trading card game channel. The mascot of that channel is Victini. Victini's definitely one of like my top 5 favorite Pokemon. So I plan on using a ton of Victini. I think it's going to be really, really good. You say walled by Incineroar? Wait, do you think it is? Do you think Victini's walled by Incineroar? Okay. I don't think it is. Like, I think Incineroar thinks he's hot stuff. He switches in, intimidates the Victini, and like a charcoal sun boosted -1 V-Crate still does like 80% to that Incin. And also, like, remember, Victory Star, its ability on the Victini. We're still talking about Victini and its Victory Star. Think about who that's being paired with. Venusaur and Groudon. The Pokemon that use Precipice Blades and Sleep Powder. It's the perfect Pokemon for that format. I don't think it'll get Fusion Bolt because to use the Pokemon in these formats, you're going to have to get the Battle Ready mark on them, which will make them lose their event moves. So you're going to have to use Wild Charge. But Pokemon's nuts. And then V-Crate also, the thing about V-Crate, it's even better. It makes you slower, so you're even better in Trick Room. It gets Final Gambit too on 100 base HP. It's now the best Final Gambit user in the format. It can be Scarfed, it can be Trick Roomed. Victini does so many things. Victini is also good versus Magearna. So it's like, people are sleeping on Victini if they're not. If they're not ready for it, they're sleeping on it. But can you kind of see the meta that I'm looking at here? The one based around like Yveltal Callies with like either Rain or Sun with like a Zacian somewhere. Diancie keeps things like the Yveltals and stuff in check. What is it? Magearna's good versus Diancie. Diancie's good versus Victini. You can see the Pokemon in the top 3 have a little bit of a triangle going on. Right? That's how it kind of works. Victini's good versus Magearna. Magearna's good versus Diancie. Diancie's good versus Victini. These 3 are all keeping each other in check, while the other Pokemon are going to be things like Kyogre, Yveltal, Callies, and then maybe like a Palkia, or maybe like an Incin, or maybe even just a non-restricted like Grimmsnarl, Regieleki, stuff like that. So that's the way I think the format's going to look. We're going to be seeing a lot of the Pokemon in the top 3, maybe 1 or 2 of the A tier, and on niche teams, you might see one of the B or C tiers, but like, I think it's going to be really, really good, and it's going to be a lot of fun to play. So hopefully you guys like this little tier list. I worked pretty hard on this, and I think this is going to be a really, really fun format.